Hello! I'm a new woman. I've ran a marathon! I am literally still on cloud 9 after Sunday. My little spiky hair. I can't believe I ran a marathon. But yeah, I've had so many questions on the run up to the marathon and after the marathon that I thought it's probably best to just answer them all in one place, because yeah, it will hopefully help more people. So yeah, this is going to be a marathon Q&A. I'm going to start by just giving a little bit of a lowdown on the day. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but yeah, basically it didn't kind of go to plan. We at the start had this goal of sticking with the 4 hour to 4 hour 15 pacer based on our training on the run up to the run. And after about 5k, Mike could start to feel his knee injury flaring up, and then after about 6 miles he was in a hell of a lot of pain, and then the plan had to kind of go out the window, and we just made the decision that we was going to stick together and we was going to finish it together. Whatever way we had to cross that finish line, and we was going to make it happen. So yeah, it ended up being a lot longer than we wanted it to be. However, I wouldn't have had it any other way. When, like, looking back, definitely, like, I'm so happy that we crossed that finish line together. But yeah, I'm going to go into more depth about the actual day itself, answering some of these questions. But let's start with pre-run and how I trained for it, nutrition, things like that. What level were you when you started, and how long did it take for you to train for the marathon? So I am not gonna lie, I used to run at quite a high level when I was younger. So this was obviously when I was in like high school and primary school. I used to run for Salford and Greater Manchester, and my lengths, like my distances, were always long distance. I feel like my body type is kind of made to run. So yeah, I stopped running after maybe like year 10, and I then started to do little bits of like 10Ks and things like that like a couple of years ago. And then last year I ran a half marathon, so I wasn't a complete amateur. However, after I did the half marathon in September, I stopped training for about 8 to 12 weeks because I just was a bit like, can't be bothered really doing anything, what am I training for? And I was also really put off training after the half marathon because I found it so painful. So yeah, when it actually come to start my training, I kind of committed to starting my training in January, which I probably should have given myself more time, but I was like, yeah, whatever. So I started my training on the 2nd of January, and that day when we went out for a run, like you might have seen my post that day, it was horrific. I was basically shuffling. We'd kind of set out to do a 10k. After 2.5k, I was just in agony, I couldn't breathe. So I was like, I'm just gonna have to go back. So it ended up being a 5-kilometer run for me, and I was basically shuffling. I was so unfit, and I was literally thinking, shit, like, Vic, why have you left it till so last minute? However, I still persevered, and we basically just built up from there. So yeah, I wasn't completely new to running, but I wasn't in a very good condition when I first started marathon training 4 months before the day. What plan did you follow? Did you have to run all of the time? So I think there's a big misconception that if you're training for a run that you should literally just go out and run every single day, and I think that's possibly one of the worst things you can do, because that's basically like, it's not normal for your body to just keep running and have that amount of impact on your knees and on your joints every single day. So when it came to my training, I was actually only doing maximum 2 runs a week. I had 3 strength and conditioning sessions in the gym with personal trainer. So the strength work, I was doing things like lunges and squats and deadlifts and pull-ups, things like that. And then my conditioning, because my trainer was very CrossFit, I was doing a lot of CrossFit conditioning, which was savage, and I really believe that that's where I got most of my fitness from. But then you have to be like, you can be fit, but you need to be fit for running, and that's where my actual running came in. So it came to my runs, I was doing 1 shorter run during the week. I think it was like a Wednesday I'd do the shorter run, and then at the weekend we gradually started building up longer runs. So I think the first longer run was like 5k, and then we just gradually built that up. I think we went from 5k to about 10k, and then we probably jumped a bit quicker than you should have, but it worked for us at the end of the day. The last run we did before the marathon was 3 weeks before the marathon, and that was 20 miles. So I think when it comes to training, like if I was to do something differently, I would definitely hire a coach and see how they would do it. I definitely wouldn't want to run more than I did, because I know that I'm so susceptible to injury. Like I've been injury prone for my whole life, so going out on too many runs I knew was going to massively impact my knees. So yeah, but I'd like to see how they built it up, and I'd probably give myself more time. Did you have a meal plan to follow to know you were refueling the best you could for your training? So no, I didn't follow a meal plan. I obviously want to highlight that I was a personal trainer for years. I went on many nutrition courses, so I really kind of understand food. I understand what my body needs, but I've had to do a whole lot of unlearning when it comes to diet culture and things like that. So I was kind of in a place where I didn't want to follow a meal plan, because I know that's not good for me, but I know that I'm very good at listening to my body now. So yeah, I didn't follow a meal plan, no, but I know how to eat. Also on like four weeks on the run up to the marathon, I was consciously eating more carbohydrates, mainly because on the day of the run, your body doesn't just use the carbs that you've eaten like the day of or the day before. It goes into, you know, the stores, like the carb stores that your body has stored over the past few weeks. So I was making sure I was having like way more carbs, and the week of the run, literally it kind of threw all of my intuitive eating learnings out of the window, because I had to eat a fucking lot of carbs. So if you're somebody who, you know, complete newbie to running, you've got no idea about nutrition, like maybe seek some help from a professional when it comes to the fueling side, because it is important. Like it is important to make sure you're getting enough protein for your recovery, you're getting enough carbohydrates to give you the energy, and also getting fats in there as well, mega important. What kind of things did you eat pre-run? So pre-run was always, I always used to have like special case, like cereal and milk, or I'd have cereal and yogurt and fruit. Sometimes I'd have like bagel and peanut butter and jam, just things like that were really kind of carby, little bit of fats in there that would keep me fueled throughout the run. Did you get any injuries during your training? So you might remember that I got an IT band injury, which came after one of our long runs. I think we'd ran about 16 miles, and that was quite a lot for me at the time. Like I think we jumped maybe like 5 or 6 miles from what we'd previously done. And during the run, because I'm quite headstrong, I'm very good at kind of just overcoming whatever my body's feeling and just kind of seeing a task at hand and completing it. But when I stopped and when I came home, I literally couldn't move my leg. I couldn't physically pick my leg up using my leg muscles. It was agonizing. And it was at that time when I was literally like, shit, I have massively fucked up. And I really wish that I'd have started getting physio a lot sooner than I did. And I, at that time, was literally like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. But I got physio. There's a guy called the London Movement Therapist on Instagram. You need to follow him. His stuff is incredible. I was literally following a lot of the stuff that he puts out on there regarding IT band, things like foam rolling and things like that. And I'm so grateful, because like on the other hand, he had the same. He had IT band, but his came really late. It came like so close to the run that it was kind of hard to keep it under control, and yeah, that really affected the run. I really can't run and I want to sign up to the marathon. What's the best way to build up my running? I don't believe when people say that they can't run. I feel like every single person can run, but you might not be able to run for a certain amount of distance or a certain amount of time before feeling really tired and out of breath and in pain. When it comes to running, there's no secret. It's very much like you just need to go out and run. And don't ever feel like, if you've set yourself to run 5k, don't feel like you've got to run that whole 5k. Like, run a kilometre, walk a kilometre, run a kilometre, walk a kilometre, and then the next time you come to your training, run 2 kilometres, walk a kilometre, run 2 kilometres, and just build it up like that. You don't need to expect to run out there on your first day of your training and run like 5k and absolutely smash it. Like when I went out on my first run, you know, that 2.5k, absolutely died. And so then I just knew I needed to scale it back, and I just needed to gradually build up my runs. So yeah, it's literally as simple as getting out there and just doing it, just getting out, understanding that it is going to be painful both mentally and physically, but overcoming that and going through the pain and knowing that on the other side you're going to find strength, and you're going to overcome that fear of pain and the fear of running. So yeah. Okay, let's get on to the actual day of the race. First, what did you eat on the morning of the run? So I had 2 pieces of brown toast with peanut butter and jam, and I think I had a banana as well. But yeah, that I was literally like, I felt so nervous I couldn't eat any more than that, but I think that did me quite well. Also another one is, did you fuel throughout the run? So yeah, I had gels. So on my training, I obviously practiced with Lucozade gels. Make sure that you look who the sponsors are of the run and who's going to be giving the gels out, because you want to practice with that particular gel unless you're going to carry your own the whole way, just so that you know that it's okay with your tummy. So I practiced with Lucozade gels, and I think on the day of the run, I can't remember, because when I was in it, I was literally like, if I needed a pick me up, I was literally like, just give me a gel. I might have had about 5 gels. What did you find was the most painful part of the run? So I'm going to be really honest, and I feel like if you've been a runner before, if you've trained for a run, you'll know how hard it is to run at a slower pace than you have kind of trained to do, because you end up running weird, and it was therefore causing me to feel significant amount of pain in like my feet and in my knees. But also I guess it was really mentally painful to know that I could have ran a lot faster, and like, because I really wanted to prove to myself that I could do this and I could absolutely smash it. And I guess kind of like having committed to Mike, which, you know, now I do not regret at all, but having committed to staying with him, and you know, it kind of turned into, it wasn't really my run, it was getting Mike through this run and getting him over the finish line. And you know, I was having to physically push him up hills, I was having to carry him down hills, I was having to literally like drag him and literally like just push him from behind to get him through the run. And you know, we then, when it came to past mile 13, there's physios like every few miles, and he was having to stop to get physio every few miles to get things released and stuff like that. And you know, I'm not going to pretend that I'm this saint. There was a time when I was like, Mike, this is becoming really painful for me, do you mind if I carry on? And he was like, I would really prefer it if we stayed together. And you know, obviously I only asked that from a real selfish point of view. I wasn't taking into full consideration how he felt. And when he said that, I was literally like, no, like I totally get where you're coming from. Like I shouldn't have asked. Like I should know that I should only want to stay with you. And then at about mile 17, he was really struggling, and he was like, Vic, just carry on. And I think I took about 2 steps, and then I just ran back, because I was literally like, I could not ever live for myself if I'd finished that run knowing that he was still out on the course going through significant amounts of pain. Because although I have no doubt that he would have finished it, I know that it would have been 10 times harder if he'd have had to go through that by himself. It's really brought us closer together. I think he's really kind of really grateful that I kind of sacrificed me getting my best time and doing my best to make sure that he got over the line. But yeah, looking back, I would not change it for the world. I would not change it, because at the end of the day we completed a marathon and we're absolutely buzzing about it, and I'm so proud of him for being in that amount of pain and getting through it. And that kind of brings me on to speaking about pain, because I think a lot of the time we swerve pain and we'll run away from pain because we think that pain is the worst thing ever and we shouldn't go through it. But I think both physically and mentally, pain is one of the best things that you could go through, because on the other side of pain there's always going to be strength and growth. And yes, throughout the course I was in pain. Like, my knees were in pain, my, like, underneath my feet, oh my god, it was painful. There was times when I was so hungry, but all you could really get on the course was like jelly beans and bits of orange and things like that. But like I said before, I always just see the task at hand, and I'm literally like, you know, pain is temporary. Like, we know when it's too painful, and we know when we 100% need to stop, but pain is temporary. And I knew that once we'd finished, that pain was gonna go and I was gonna get over it, and then I could work on my recovery. So yeah, please don't fear pain. Like, see pain, go through the pain, and know that if you're gonna run 26 miles, you're gonna be in pain. So yeah, don't fear the pain, go through the pain. So many people have asked this in a roundabout way, and it was, what was the most enjoyable part and what was the worst part? So I'll start with the worst. The worst part was, obviously it was shit that Mike was in so much pain. Like, I felt for the guy, I felt so bad for him. But the worst part for me was, I think, when we got to about 16 miles and I felt like I'd been running forever, and I saw the 16-mile sign and I was literally like, oh my god, I've got 10 miles to go. I've got 10 actual miles that I've got to run before I get to the end. And yeah, it just kind of felt like it was going forever. And then out of nowhere, we hit like 21 miles and I was like, oh my god, just 5 miles to go. So yeah, the worst part was definitely around 16 miles, and I was just thinking, this is painful, this is never gonna end. I think it started to rain a little bit and I was just like, ugh. But yeah. Then the most enjoyable part was, of course, like, crossing the finish line with my best friend, like hand in hand. We were just like, yes! And because it literally felt like it was so far away, I just felt like it was never gonna come. So yeah, it was literally, it was like one of the best, it was one of the highlights of our relationship. And I feel like we've got like the best picture. The cameraman took a really great picture of it, and that's definitely going to be one that will show the grandkids. And yeah, it was really incredible. And also just like the crowds, I did run with music in, and so somebody messaged me and they was like, I literally just saw you so in the zone with your music. So when I run, I always have my music on and I'm like singing to the music, like kind of dancing as well, and that's literally what helps me get through. But yeah, when I went over like London Bridge, and when we was doing like the last 3 miles, I took my headphones off and I just completely soaked up the atmosphere, because it's just incredible. Like, people have made signs, and for people to stand there and watch you for hours and just cheer you on, and like, obviously I had my name on my top, so people are like, oh, I'm Vic. Like, I don't think they knew me. But yeah, it's just like, the atmosphere is incredible. And one of my favourite things about running and the whole experience is it's so inclusive. There are, I don't know how old you got to be to join, but probably like 18-year-olds right up to an 84-year-old, all different shapes and sizes, all different abilities, but everybody's there for one goal. So, you know, while people are struggling, like, I would do it to people. I'd run past and be like, come on, you've got your last bit now, let's go, like, come on, just pick it up, we'll get to the end. And people would do that to me, and people would do that to Mike, and it was just incredible. So yeah, oh, I wish I could do it again. So somebody asked, was it more or less of a challenge than you thought it was going to be? If I am completely honest, after I'd done all of the training and by the day, I feel like it was less of a challenge. And I think that's because once I'd done the 20-mile run, the 20-mile training run, and I'd got over that, I kind of knew that I could do it. So I knew that I'd be able to do it. I knew I'd be able to add another 6 miles on top of that. And I think that then made me quite confident for the run. And I just thought, I think as long as you get into your head right, I'm going to be running for the next like 4 to 5 hours of my life, and that's it, then it really helps you just kind of get through it. So yeah, I thought it was going to be way more painful. I thought it was going to take way longer, and I thought it was going to be way less enjoyable. So I actually didn't think it was worse than I initially thought it was going to be. That's not to say that it wasn't hard. Like, I still found it really, really hard. But yeah. Are you sore post run? Yes. I've got like quad DOMs. Now it's easing off so much, but oh my god, like the day after, even just after, like when we'd finished the run, oh my gosh, my legs just didn't want to move. And the day after, I'd booked us into a spa and we were literally just like limping around the place. Everyone's looking at us like, oh my gosh. Bearing in mind, everyone was older than us in this spa as well, so it was just like, this is embarrassing. I just wanted to wear my medal so I could be like, this is why, I'm a marathon runner. But yeah, so yeah, we saw, and to help with recovery, we've obviously ate so much, drank electrolytes, so I use that Fit Water that I talk about on Instagram, because when you sweat, so we obviously sweat a lot during the run. When you sweat, you lose way more than just water. You lose like sodium, calcium, magnesium, and if you don't replenish those, then you are prone to cramping, which, you know, there's so many other reasons to have it, but I have it mainly so that I don't cramp, so I can really replenish, mainly sodium. So yeah, and literally we just ate so much. My post-run meal was my childhood favourite, and it was sausage, mash and gravy, and my mum had it waiting for me when I got through the door. Did you lose any toenails? Do you know what? I wish if it wasn't weird, I would show you my toe. So my toenail that's next to my big toe, when I did the half marathon, I lost it on the other foot. And yeah, this one's definitely, it's not lost, but it's turning purple and it's definitely gonna come off. What are your tips? What are your tips for meeting the mind barrier my head gives up before my legs do? So first, I just want to say that people always talk about this wall. There's no wall. There's a wall if you are anticipating a wall. I never saw any kind of wall. There's no wall. Obviously, you get tired, and that's where things like gels and hydration come in. But if you just kind of see it for what it is, and you anticipate that it's going to be painful, and you just kind of get in your head, right, I'm going to be running for the next 4 to 5 hours of my life and I just need to get through it, and at the end I'm done, and I can look back and I can be really proud of everything that I've achieved. It can really just help you get through that process. But yeah, I think, you know, I've done a hell of a lot of personal development and self-help work over the years, and I think a lot of it just comes down to really understanding who you are, and I think running helps you do that, because it helps you, you know, there's times when you will be running and crying at the same time, but there'll be times when you're running and smiling at the same time, and it breaks you down, and a marathon is there to break you down. It's not normal to just go out and run 26 miles, it's there to break you, but while it's breaking you, you're starting to learn, like, understand yourself, you're starting to know what level of resilience you've got, and I think you just have to go through it, and you have to not fear being broken down, and knowing that when you get to that place, you're not broken, like, you're just in a place of where you may be a bit more vulnerable. And once you've gone through that and you carry on going, you will be stronger, you will be more resilient, you will be so fucking powerful on the other side, and that is literally why you should face challenges head on, go through them and smash them. Okay, so the most asked was, will you be doing another marathon? We will be doing another marathon. It definitely wasn't the plan before I did this marathon, but I definitely want to be able to run another. I want to see how well I can do it, and yeah, I don't know when that's going to be, and Mike wants to do one as well, so I think we will either do, well, we're hoping to be able to do either like Berlin or Boston. We want to do something really cool, like somewhere cool, and make it into a bit of a trip. So yeah, watch this space. So anyway, I hope that Q&A has helped some people. I know it was very much about my experiences, and that's probably not the best advice. You might be able to get better advice from somewhere else, but yeah, I hope that's really helped you, and please sign up to a run. It's honestly, if you're into fitness, it's one of the best ways to come away from really focusing on body image and appearance, and just focusing on improving and getting fitter and getting faster, and it's just so inclusive. Like, yes, then you can get a medal. We can be medal twins. Anyway, thank you guys. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and drop some comments in the comments below. If there's anything that I've not answered, I could maybe do a round 2 Q&A. So yeah, have a lovely day.